Welcome to another video, and we are 8 days out from English language paper 1. Now, 8 days guys, after all those months and all those days and even years, some of you guys have been following me for years of watching content guys, 8 days is all we have left. Now, what we're going to do guys is this. I've noticed that some of you guys are watching my previous study time series on English language paper 1 that I did almost 2 years ago. Now, since then, a lot has changed. The way I think, the way I teach those questions, a lot has changed. So guys, what we're gonna do is this. Today, I will be covering paper 1, question 1 and question 2. Tomorrow, 7 p.m, we will go over question number 3. Thursday, 7 p.m, we will do question number 4. And Friday, guys, we will do question number 5. And then guys, on Tuesday the 17th at on Tuesday the 17th guys at 5 p.m, we'll be doing a free 2-hour live stream on YouTube where I'll cover the entire paper in one last go, ready for your exam on Wednesday. Now, guys, we are 8 days out. These videos, honestly, I'm gonna try my best to give you everything you need in the easiest way possible. I hate it when I watch videos and people are just chatting, waffle, and talking. I want to give you stuff that you pick up, you use, and you can go in your exams and you can smash your exams. So, guys, I'm going to switch the camera. We're going to go to the board. We're going to go over question 1, question 2, as in marks, minutes, and then I'm going to go through how you should answer those questions. And hopefully by the end of this video, you know how to get 4 out of 4 for question number 1 and 8 out of 8 for question number 2. Okay guys, so when it comes to paper 1 and we are looking at question number 1, guys, this question is worth 4 marks. And for a 4-mark question, you have to spend 5 minutes. Now, do all of you need 5 minutes for question number 1? Probably not. A lot of you can bang it out in maybe 2-3 minutes. But the recommendation is a maximum of 5 minutes. Now, for this question, guys, please write in full sentences. Guys, please write in full sentences. Now, a question I get asked a lot is, can you use quotes from the extract? Guys, yes, you can use quotes, but please still write in full sentences. So for example, if it says, how does the writer describe the weather? Don't just pick the quote cold and put the word cold. Say, the weather is described as being, quotation marks, cold. So write in full sentences, guys, use quotes, 4 marks, 5 minutes. That's the basic outline of question number 1. Now, guys, question number 2. This for me, guys, is when our exam begins, and this is when the exam becomes a little bit more difficult. Guys, question number 2. This is an 8-mark question. And in an 8-mark question, guys, we are looking to spend 10 minutes. Now, at this point in the year, what's my advice on how many paragraphs you should be writing? Guys, you're aiming for 2 paragraphs. That's what we're aiming for. Now, for anybody, guys, who's watched my previous videos, I used to say 2 or 3. But guys, I've gone and trawled through so many model answers, so many papers marked by AQA. And the common theme that I found was more answers that wrote 2 paragraphs were getting 8 out of 8, 7 out of 8. So the sweet spot for our exam, guys, is 2 paragraphs. Now, how are we going to structure our 2 paragraphs? You all should know, guys, this is the language question. Language question, guys, we can talk about 2 things. We can talk about words such as adjectives, nouns, verbs, adverbs, and so on. And we can talk about language devices. Now, the structure, and by the way, guys, if you're watching this video and you still don't know language devices and you're 8 days out from your exam, what the heck have you been doing for the past 5 years? But that being said, guys, please watch the video that I've got somewhere. If you scroll down on my channel, I think it's called like 40 language devices. Or 50, I can't remember what it's called. But watch that video, guys. I cover enough language devices. Learn them, because without them, You can't even touch this question. Now, what is the structure for our question, guys? We are doing pretzel. Pretzel stands for what? Point, reference, technique, explain, zoom in, explain, link. When we plan our answer, this will become easy. But that's the outline, guys, for this question. Now, please, in the comments, don't start having a debate. Oh, but 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs. This is just my advice based upon the little expertise that I have. 2 paragraphs is the sweet spot. It's realistic, 5 minutes per paragraph. And I promise you, if you do 2 pretzel paragraphs, 5 minutes each, guys, you're almost walking into 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 8. All right, guys, let's look at some questions, and now let's plan and then write answers for question number 1 and question number 2. Okay, guys, so let's begin and look at question number 1. Question number 1, guys, is always going to be about a small part of the source. Normally, it's the beginning, guys, hence why it says lines 1 to 5. And it is very straightforward, guys. We must list 4 things about something. In this question, guys, it says list 4 things about Zoe's surroundings from this part of the source. So for question number 1, guys, we must list 4 things about Zoe's surroundings. Now, guys, just a bit of advice. If you're in your exam, right, and I hope this never happens, I really hope this never happens, but if you're in your exam and let's say you can find 3, but you can't find the 4th one, never ever leave it blank. Never ever leave it blank. Look at 1, look at 2, look at 3, and based upon these 3, take an educated guess. Because if you leave it blank, you're gonna get 0 marks for that one anyway. So you're better off taking an educated guess than leaving it completely blank. Now, so guys, we're looking at lines 1 to 5. The first thing I would like you all to do when you're in your exam, guys, is as follows. Straight away, put a box around lines 1 to 5. Now, the reason I say put a box around lines 1 to 5 is because every year, teachers, we tell the students, put the box around, because you don't want to be that kid who ends up using quotes from the wrong line. And a lot of students will be, nah, it'll never be me, it'll never ever be me. But guys, trust me, when you're in your exam setting and you're nervous and the clock is ticking, it takes one mistake to ruin an entire question. So just put a box around it so you can visually see that this is where I get my quotes from. Now, let's read the 5 lines before we pull the answer. It was snowing again. Gentle 6-pointed flakes from a picture book were settling on her jacket sleeve. The mountain air prickled with ice and the smell of pine raisin. Several hundred meters below lay the dark outline of St. Bernard on Hull, their perennial resort village. Across to the west, the irregular peaks of the mountain range. Okay, let's go back to the question, guys. Let's go back to the question. The question said, list 4 things about Zoe's surroundings. Very, very open question. 4 things about her surroundings. Let's begin, guys, and this is what you would do in an exam. So number 1, straight away, guys, it was snowing. That's the first thing that we can pick about Zoe's surroundings, that it was snowing all around her. The second point you can pick about Zoe's surrounding, guys, that around her, guys, the second thing you pick, that around her there was the smell of pine raisin. That's the second thing you can pick, that around her was the smell of pine raisin. And then, guys, again, we're not going to zoom in too much, but you could talk about how also around her there were irregular peaks of the mountain. Oops. Guys, also you can pick that around her there were the irregular peaks of the mountain. Now, those are 3 staring me straight in the face. It was snowing, there was the smell of pine raisin, and around her there were the irregular peaks of the mountain. Now, the 4th point that I want to pick, guys, is I just want to show you guys how you can also almost infer. So it says here, guys, the mountain air prickled with ice and the smell of pine raisin. Several hundred meters below lay the dark outline of St. Bernard on Hull. Now, where it says here, guys, the mountain air prickled with ice. Guys, where it says here that the mountain air prickled with ice, that could be my 4th point. And from this point, I can infer that Zoe felt cold. But we have our 4 points. These are 4 things we can use about the surrounding. Now, all you would do, guys, I'll give you guys one answer, as in one example. All you would do is, so it says, list 4 things about Zoe's surroundings from this part of the source. Number 1, all you would write, guys, is Zoe's surroundings are described as experiencing a lot of snowfall, full stop. And that's me now using the first piece of evidence. It was snowing again. And guys, that was all you would do. You would take these 4 and you would put them down, you would put them down into 4 full sentences to achieve a mark of 4 out of 4. Now guys, that is question number 1 done. This is where things get interesting. So, look in detail at this extract from lines 9 to line 14 of the source. And for this one, we don't need to put a box because they've given us the box here already. How does the writer use language? How does the writer use language to describe Zoe's feelings? You could include the writer's choice of words and phrases. So guys, when they say words and phrases, they are talking about nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. That is what we're talking about. And then it's saying pick language features and language techniques, meaning similes, metaphor, personification, and so on. The third bullet point, guys, it says sentence form. And personally, guys, at this point, I would not even focus on sentence forms. Now, the reason I wouldn't talk about sentence forms is because a lot of students end up giving a structural analysis for sentence forms, even though it's a language question. So to avoid that kind of hurdle, my advice is all we need is 2 paragraphs. Guys, all we need is 2 paragraphs. So these 2 are enough. We're going to play it safe because an exam is not the place to be taking risks. Now, it says here, guys, clearly that it is an 8-mark question. So we know that we are looking to write 2 paragraphs. Therefore, from these entire 5 lines, we must find 2 quotes that we can use to describe Zoe's feelings. Now guys, don't forget the structure that we are aiming for is point, reference, technique, explain, zoom in, explain. Now guys, the way I'm writing on this sheet, this is how you should be writing in your exam. So let's read. If there are a few moments in life that come as clear and as pure as ice when the mountain breathed back at her, Zoe knew that she had trapped one such moment and that could never be taken away. Everywhere was snow and silence, the complete arrest of life, a rehearsal and a pre-echo of death. She pointed her skis down the hill. They looked like weird talons of brilliant red and gold in the powder snow as she waited, ready to swoop. I am alive. I am an eagle. Okay, cool, perfect. Now, what must I do first? I must find 2 quotes focusing specifically on her feelings, guys. Do not get lost in the question. Don't start talking about the weather if the weather doesn't link to Zoe's feelings. So everything I must now find must be linked to her feelings. So my first quote, guys, that I'm going to use is the quote, guys. One second, let me rub out all this, guys. Guys, the first quote that I'm going to use is where it says, ready to swoop, I am alive, I am an eagle. Now remember, guys, we're doing pretzel. So this here is my reference. So I have now found my reference. Ready to swoop, I am alive, I am an eagle. From here, guys, I could infer that Zoe's feelings, Zoe feels brave. And this will be my point in the paragraph. Then, guys, the technique. Now, there's many techniques used. One quote, guys, can have loads of techniques. You pick what you are comfortable with. So for my technique, guys, I'm going to talk about, where it says, ready to swoop. And here, guys, I'm going to say that the writer has used zoomorphism. Guys, I'm going to say here that the writer has used zoomorphism. And zoomorphism is when you give a human an animal's feature. So when Zoe says she's ready to swoop, she's talking about herself like she's a bird. And that's my technique complete. Now, when I zoom in, I am going to zoom in to the word eagle. So guys, when I zoom in, I've done the Z as well. I will be zooming in to the word eagle, and this is a noun. And there you have it, guys. Paragraph 1 has been planned. Guys, there you have it. Paragraph 1 has been planned. The two effects I will do when I write the paragraph out. The link is me simply saying, therefore, as you can see, Zoe is presented as brave. Now, so many times, guys, students ask me, sir, don't you have to explain the effect on the reader? Guys, I don't have to say that the reader feels scared for me to explain the effect on the reader. Every single time I explain the effect of my technique and the effect of my zooming in, that is me naturally explaining the effect on the reader. Because who else does this affect? This text does not affect aliens. So I don't need to actually put it in writing, the effect of the reader. Because every time I explain the effect, it's a given that I'm explaining the effect on the reader. Okay, guys, now that's paragraph 1 done. Let's go for number 2. Let's go for number 2. So I'm looking at how Zoe feels. I'm looking at, guys, how Zoe feels. Breathed back at her. Zoe knew she had trapped one such moment. The mountain breathed back at her. Zoe knew she had trapped one such moment. Actually, guys, let me do that in a different color, just so it's clear. So this is my second quote, when the mountain breathed back at her. So again, guys, here is my reference. For my technique, guys, I'm going to start with personification. The idea that the mountain is breathing back at her. That is my technique. What I'm going to zoom into, guys, I'm going to zoom in to the verb trapped. I'm going to zoom in, guys, to the verb trapped. Now, what's my point here? What's my point here? I'm going to make the point that it's as though Zoe is in awe. She is amazed by her surroundings, because it's as though she's having some kind of experience with nature. And there is my point, guys. And there you have it, guys. Paragraph 2 is now planned as well. And that is all you have to do in your exam, guys. Nothing else. Nothing else. In your exam, guys, I don't want anyone drawing fancy tables because they're planning, or drawing fancy charts in their books. We haven't got time for that. You should be planning on the sheet. Second thing, guys, this is what I don't want either. I don't want you guys in your exam picking out a gazillion devices. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. Why? Because we don't have time for that, guys. This is an exam. In an exam, we need to perform quick and at a high standard. So all you do, guys, is you pick your first quote, pick your second quote, and you're ready to begin writing. That's all we need, guys, is 2. Don't start highlighting everything. Find the 2 you want, find your point, reference, technique, and what you're going to zoom into for both, and you're good to go. This here, guys, is exactly what you should be doing and aiming for inside your exam. Now, guys, let me turn one of these into a paragraph, and then we are done with question number 2. So, again, I'm going to work on the sheet because I want you guys to be realistic, because what you see in front of me is what you will also have in your exam. So I've got my plan over here, I've got my preps on the side, and now, guys, I must turn this into a paragraph. Now, remember, guys, for this question, guys, you're not marked on the quality of your point. You're marked on 3 things. You're marked on your reference to the text. You're marked on your subject terminology, which is stuff like zoomorphism and nouns. And you're marked on how well you explain the effect. So essentially, guys, the part of the paragraph that you're marked upon is your reference, technique, explain, zoom in, explain. That's where we're going to focus. Therefore, I'm not going to spend 10 years writing an extensively long point. Now, guys, forgive me if my writing isn't clear. I'm writing onto like an iPad, so I will try my best to be as clear as possible. So let's begin. Okay, in source A, Zoe feels in complete awe of nature. She is amazed by everything around her. Done. That's my point complete, guys. That is my point complete. So guys, there you have it. That is my point now complete. Now let's move on to my reference. Now guys, just one point. On purpose, I used the word feels because I wanted to take it straight from the question. Okay, in source says Zoe feels in complete awe of nature. She's amazed by everything around her. This is clear. This is clear. There's a quote. This is clear when we learn that the mountain breathed back at her. She had trapped one such moment. Okay guys, that there is my reference. The use of personification, that there is my technique. And I'm gonna pause, sorry guys, I didn't scroll down. Now guys, that there is my technique. Now there's one thing I want you guys to really be aware of here. Let's read the paragraph and I'll talk you guys through it. In source says, Zoe feels in complete awe of nature. She is amazed by everything around her. This is clear when we learn that the mountain breathed back at her. And then I put ellipsis. Now the reason I put ellipsis, guys, is because this part of the quote, it was pointless and I don't want to waste words in an exam, so I chopped it off. I put in 3 dots, which is called ellipsis, to connect my quote, and I carried on. She had trapped one such moment. That's my reference. Now this part, guys, it gets to me when kids do this. The writer uses many language devices. One of these language devices is personification. Guys, do not do that. It's an exam. Every word counts and we haven't got time. You want to go straight in there with what's been used, the use of personification, and then we carry on. So let's read it, guys. In source A, Zoe feels in complete awe of nature. She is amazed by everything around her. This is clear when we learn that the mountain breathed back at her. She had trapped one such moment, the use of personification. And then we continue. And now I explain the effect. And now, guys, I explain the effect. With my pen. The use of personification effectively highlights how Zoe feels extremely close to the nature around her. She's almost, sorry guys, as Zoe feels extremely close to the nature around her. She is almost breathing on to the mountain. Furthermore, there appears to be an exchange, because the mountain breathed back at her. There appears to be an exchange of breath. Normally, breathing out loud is an indication of feeling excited or being amazed. And this is what is felt by Zoe in this part of the extract. Now guys, I'm gonna zoom in. Now guys, I'm gonna zoom in. So that's my effect. Furthermore, the verb trapped, and guys, that is my zooming in. Furthermore, the verb trapped normally has negative connotations. However, in this instance, this word is juxtaposed. As Zoe wants to be trapped. She wants to cherish this moment forever. Guys, I'm gonna end it there in a second. That's my second effect. And then let me quickly link it back to my point. What was my point? Therefore, as you can see, as a result, it is clear that Zoe feels in complete awe of the world around her. And that is the end of my paragraph. Guys, that is the end of my paragraph. Now let me just zoom out a little bit. And there's the entire paragraph on the screen. Now, if I was labeling my work, now guys, if I was labeling my work, here we have P, then we have the R and the T, and then we have the E and the Z, and then the E and the L. Now, there's one thing I need you guys to notice. Look at the gap between the T and the E, and the E and the Z and the E, because it's the effect of my paragraph where I want to spend the most amount of time. Guys, it's the effect of my paragraph where I want to spend the most amount of time, because that's where the marks are. Referencing, I've done it twice. I've zoomed in here and I've got it there. That's enough. Technique and zooming in is where I get my subject terminology. The T is personification, the Z is the verb trapped. And then guys, the bulk of the marks comes through how well you explain the technique and how well you explain your zooming in. And guys, there you have it guys. There is one pretzel paragraph. In an exam guys, all I would do now, so guys, in an exam, all I would do now, so I've done that one. In an exam guys, all I would do is my second paragraph, I would follow the same pretzel structure, and I would do guys, this paragraph that's highlighted in yellow. And there you have it guys. That is how you do paper 1, question number 2. You pick your reference, you pick the technique inside the reference. Then you decide, what am I going to zoom into? And then you explain the effect twice. Now guys, I want to talk about one more thing before we end the video. So I'm going to switch the camera and then we shall finish. Okay, so guys, when it comes to this question, paper 1, question 1 and paper 1, question 2, there's lots of different opinions on the internet. Guys, this is just my opinion. Let's recap. 2 paragraphs for question 2. 10 minutes, 5 minutes per paragraph. 1 quote per paragraph, but you zoom into that quote when you find the word, the phrase, and so on. You can only speak about language. If on the day of your exam, for whatever reason, you can't find language devices, then just pick either nouns, verbs, adjectives, or adverbs. They will always be there. And that's it, guys. There's nothing else to this. My advice to you guys is this. After watching this video, practice. Open up a paper 1 question 2. Read the extract and try to plan 2 pretzel paragraphs and write them up 5 minutes per paragraph. Now, don't forget, guys, that time that I was highlighting and picking my stuff out, that comes out of my reading and planning time that I have a separate 15 minutes for. The 10 minutes that I have is purely for my writing time. All right, guys, genuinely, I am not saying this because I created Pretzel, but I genuinely believe, guys, that Pretzel is a bulletproof way of you achieving 7 to 8 out of 8. Because it allows you to get that extra detail when you zoom in. Whatever paragraph structure you follow, peel, Peter, whatever you follow, the paragraph structure, AQA don't care about, but the paragraph structure should make it easier for you to climb up the mark scheme. But I beg you guys, if you're aiming for 6, 7, 8 out of 8, don't use P or peel. They're far too basic and they don't allow you to write in detail. Maybe try Pretzel, maybe try something else, but please have a structure because the structure will signpost you through your work. Alright guys, I'll end this video here. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. we will go over paper 1 question number 3. I will see you all then, guys. As always, thank you for watching. It's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.